Hey you! Today we're going to be talking about the Super Dino Charge second volume. This is to complete the entire set of all Dino Charge, and we have a lot to talk about. I'm not going to be recapping all the episodes because there are quite a lot that you'd get. Now, let's begin. We have the final chapter in all of Super Dino Charge. There are parts that throw out a lot of suspense. There are parts that really needed to be worked on, and we see an old enemy come back. I gotta admit, I did actually quite like this one. There are some episodes in here that I generally thought, do you know what? That's pretty decent. Now, the only special features I'm gonna kind of class are the two extra episodes, which is the Halloween and the Christmas episode. We'll talk about those more at the end, but I am not happy with this. I'm generally not a big fan of Christmas and Halloween episodes because they're clip shows, and I generally don't think that you need a clip show near the time that you come back onto the series. Let's talk about the overview. Now, the only episode that I hadn't seen was the zombie episode, which they possibly weren't real zombies or element of them. They just did the whole walk. You know, the slow walk, and they had the makeup on. But the way that was kind of done was kind of, it was interesting. Now, the episodes weren't too bad. They were kind of wrapping up because obviously they haven't really got much to go on. It's the end of the season, so they have to start wrapping things up. Otherwise, you're just going to have more filler episodes, and fans aren't going to be happy if you don't have a decent conclusion. We have the destruction of the actual Dino Charge museum base, which I absolutely love. Destruction of the bases. It turns around and it shows that you have this entire safe haven for the entire series, and it suddenly just gets destroyed. The bad guy finds it. He's like, I didn't know it was here. And boom. Oh, it makes things 10 times better in this. And oh my god, it's just fantastic. We're introduced to new characters, Doomwing, Lord Arcanon. They are the main bad guys for the series. Obviously, we have Heckle and Slide still about, but they get kind of pushed aside. We have the return of Sledge, which I was really impressed with. We also introduced to a new Ranger, which is Xenowing, but his bad guy counterpart is Doomwing. And I thought it was really ingenious how Doomwing wanted to get the data from the Rangers. They sent all the information about their Zords, their technology, and everything about it to the Silver Ranger, and that worked perfectly for me because I generally didn't think that anything would come of this. You know, you always have the good guy Rangers, and having an evil Ranger, oh, perfect. It just felt like when the Rangers find out about this, oh, the betrayal on their face, like, what? You know, how can this happen? It's perfect. It's really interesting to see that the Rangers have been bamboozled, and it's not by, say, a monster. It's by one of their, oh, it's technically is a monster, but it's like one of their own, technically. And this really stood out. Oh, it was really good writing for it. Heckle and Snide kind of like defuse, they get kind of separated by the same technology they used against Doomwing in this. We also get a reference to Super Sentai as well as Kuruja. Oh, it was just, it was really nice seeing those Easter eggs, and if you didn't know about them, you know, if you didn't know about Super Sentai or the Japanese counterpart, you know, this was a typical name, but this really just, I love Easter eggs and stuff. Oh, the whole Super Sentai 6, Karuja Galaxy, it really made it for me. There is so much going on near the end of this season that makes you want to go, what? And I'm going to be talking about it in my final thoughts because there are some really good parts and there's one horrible part that I will talk about throughout this review or near the end. So let's talk about the filming. Now, the filming was actually really decent. This really reminded me of past Power Ranger episodes, and I think it's quite hard because I think it's really lost its certain way on this one. It's not the same. Power Rangers has completely changed, but when you saw these sort of elements, they really worked well together, and it made me think of the past series or seasons that just really kind of stood out. The episode where they all turn into zombies, that to me was really interesting because they used a different color tone. Now, if you don't know about different color tones in TV series, you see stuff like this, which would be mainly something kind of warm that would make you feel, oh, either he's having a heartwarming moment or in the heat. But in the zombie episode, they turned around and they made it kind of a blue tone like this, which pretty much symbolizes cold. You know, it's not meant to be there. You know, it kind of gives a horror theme. This is something that really stood out, and I didn't expect them to put this in at all. I thought that this was just going to be a generic whole stance of just normal color as we had previously, but I would really like to see some of this work its way into some of the series later on. I think it would be interesting to see how different tones would affect different parts of the series. There is an episode where Ivan meets his great-great-great-great-grandson or something like that, and this was really well done. Normally when you see episodes where they have two actors or the same character playing different parts, it's kind of really weird to see how they work together. You know, obviously you've got to say the same lines, you've got to be in the same thing, you've got to see the where they're standing. Sometimes they can be a little bit higher or a little bit lower, but when you're introduced to his grandson, it was very different to hear the actor who played Ivan probably using his natural voice, not the actor using the British accent, or just putting on a different tone. And it didn't throw me, but it was really nice to see that they'd gone to the much length to actually say, look, you know, there is another person that looks exactly like you in this universe, and we're gonna have some fun. And the art style is a whole thing of, like, he's like tagged and he's graffitied all over the place, and he's got to kind of learn his lesson, not do it again, and he does that. Ivan is a bit of a douche to him, but then obviously as the episode kind of goes on, he kind of warms up, and Ivan is kind of cool. And I didn't really notice it, but in the very last episode where you have the Rangers trying to save the Earth, I didn't realize it was Ivan's great-great-great-great-grandson in there. I thought, oh, why is he there? Isn't he with the Rangers? But it was kind of fun. The filming was really engaging. The content I loved. I didn't see anything really majorly wrong with it, and it felt like I could really watch this series over and over again, that I didn't feel bored through it. And I really like that. If a series is engaging and pulls you into watching it, it is doing its job. Let's talk about the writing. Near the end of the series, it felt interesting. It generally felt like I was engaged. The writing was fine. There was suspense. There was destruction. It felt like a proper series. I haven't really felt that kind of invested, shall I say, from, say, Zeo or Turbo. I didn't really like Turbo, but the destruction of the power chamber, you know, to the point of the command center, these were all amazing. It felt like how Power Rangers used to be, and it captured that moment perfectly. When Snide finds the base, he goes inside, you know, and he doesn't realize, he's like, I'm at the museum, where's this? And then realizes that the base is under the museum, and he's like, of course, it makes sense now. Boom! You know, he goes in, he trashes the place. At first I thought, oh, this is going to be like a quick scuffle, but he completely trashes it, and this just made me go, wow. Awesome. I cannot wait. What is going to happen to the Rangers? You know, they come back, they find the base has been destroyed. Oh my god, and then suddenly he's there to attack. Oh, you know, Kendall fighting him as well in the base. It just felt... words cannot describe how much I like this. This just worked really well. I didn't like the destruction of Earth. It felt like I could understand, like, if Sledge had done it, if he had made the Earth go in. Obviously, he set eggs, he set the anchors, so obviously he was going to pull Earth into orbit. He was going to pull the Earth out of the path of the sun, and everything would have got colder. I could understand if Sledge had done that, but when the Rangers had done this, I didn't like it. But the way everything kind of led up to this just felt like kind of like really exciting. And when the Earth disappeared into the black hole, boom, you're like, okay, what's going to happen? But when the Rangers go back in time, back to the day of the dinosaurs, where Keeper arrives on Earth, to me, that felt very lazy, because when they come back, the whole of the, everything has changed. There are dinosaurs walking in the background, you know, the museum is a zoo, and I didn't like this. Time travel is a very messy thing, but they didn't kind of really explain it, because theoretically, if I remember this correctly, because the Rangers go back in time, they have no reason to fight Sledge, so all those elements doesn't happen. They don't become Power Rangers. If you can understand this, please let me know down below in the comments. I would love to do a proper video on this, explaining the different stuff of Dino Charge's time travel mistake for their own time. But it just felt like this was very lazy writing at the end. Like, the writers had gone, look, we've got all this really cool stuff. We can't be bothered. And we'll just throw out this thing. You don't need to explain it, but it would have been interesting if they explained it in a little bit more depth, rather than like keep going like, oh, the energems, now the dark energem is gone, the energems can teleport you through time and space, blah 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 blah. The whole thing of Coda and Heckle actually going back to their times, as well as Ivan. You know, again, it's those things where those traces of events would not happen, so why would you send them home? This is how bad the writing got me. I've ranted, but it just, to me, it didn't feel... I didn't get what I wanted from it, is what I'm trying to say. The Christmas and Halloween episodes, or Halloween and Christmas episodes, were boring to me. I hate clip shows. Like, you had a part of a story, but it was more saying, this is what's happened. We can't be bothered thinking of something, so we're going to go and throw half a storyline. Then we're going to add a little bit more magic to this, and it doesn't really work. To me, that really, really got to me. I think that they could have definitely written something different, that they could have made a whole different thing, not clip shows. And I'm hoping when it comes to Beast Morphers, we are not going to get clip shows. It will just be from normal, because I don't remember any of the other Power Rangers series actually having clip shows. If they are, let me know down below in the comments. I loved the references to Super Sentai in this. I thought it was very clever. I thought it was very well done. But one thing that generally annoys me, because they don't really explain it much. Keeper sends Heckle back to his time, either before the Dark Energem does the bad stuff, like split them or something like that. But he says you can save your planet from destruction. Because of that, Heckle would not have come to Earth or become Snide whatsoever, because there is no way of doing it. He has no way of wanting to do it. So it feels like they just null and voided all of it. Like, this is a really nice way to censor the character, but because of this, you don't need to do what your character did anyway, so just wish they wrote something decent. You know, maybe if they said the Dark Energem, now you're the Keeper, can restore the planet. It may not be to what you want, but it can restore it back to this time, and it does it, or the Energems do it. That would have been a better way, rather than just kind of nullifying everything that you've worked for the entire series. Let's talk about the characters. Now, the characters were fine. Everyone is exactly the same. Sledge, though, that annoys me, because he looks like he's learnt his lesson. He has learnt a lot, but then he goes back to his old ways of, I'm going to betray Snide so he can do all the work, you know, blah blah blah. But you kind of think that you wouldn't tell them on the ship where they could be. You keep that to yourself, and then when he's on Earth, that's when you talk about it. I did like the fact that Sledge gets married, that Sledge actually had a decent plan that no other bad guy has really done for a very long time. So he basically plants eggs about the area, all around the world. I really like the fact that he goes to Tokyo, though, and he just starts singing. He's like to everyone, yeah, it's horrible, Japan was horrible, all the other places were horrible, but he's generally having a good time. I did actually quite like that. That was pretty cool. What made this interesting for me? There were quite a lot of things in this that really made the series what it was to me. It seemed that they were having fun, like, kind of coming to the end of it. Sledge coming back was actually very interesting, because it showed, like, Arcanon, when he came down, he was a big bad, he wasn't scared of anyone, but everyone seemed to be really scared of Sledge. I also really like the fact that when they arrive, they are able to control the Zords, you know, with Dino Charges. The way that the Silver Ranger, when he's Doomwing, kind of, he turns around and he kind of like lies, but forgets that little lies as well. So when Riley finds the Dino Charger, I think for the Brachio, you know, when he asks about it, it's like, oh, I didn't have time to make it. You have them not remembering little things like that. You know, it made the whole series more enjoyable just to kind of watch the experience. Chase becoming a better person. I think it's in this one is where they have the magic makeup, where they turn around and they have to get Chase to actually say, yeah, this person is your girlfriend, you have to make her fall in love so you can swap back. And the fact is that when Kaylee actually finds out that Chase is the Black Ranger, it's perfect. It's fine. It's really nice to see that they were a really good couple and she's not going to tell anyone. I thought that was really nice writing and it really made it interesting for me. I do think that out of all the series so far, this is possibly the strongest one that they've done. And I was really kind of like saddened when they brought in Ninja Steel that they didn't do anything very similar to it. They copied some of the elements, but they could have written a really decent story and they didn't, and I was a bit kind of saddened. But that review is coming up. So my final thoughts. There is so much like packed into these DVDs that has a lot of storytelling. You have a lot of episodes that kind of start the ball rolling for it to finish. It has a really nice ending. It has a conclusion. Okay, well, the ending to the kind of dimension thing, not so great. But the way that they started wrapping things up, you know, it wasn't long-winded. It felt like they did kind of jump to it quite quickly. But then rather than saying, oh crap, we've only got 2 episodes to kind of fill everything in, they turned around and went, do you know what? We have a few good episodes, maybe 3 or 4 episodes, maybe 5 that we'll kind of wrap the story up. You had the references where Heckle was from Sentai 6. And then obviously, you know, he had the bad guy that destroyed the Karuja galaxy. You know, it was little things like that. You saw Heckle turn from this really evil guy to this really good guy. And even when he turned around to the Rangers and they all eat in the cafe, you know, why go anywhere else when you've got the Dino Bite Cafe? Because that's the one. But even when Heckle's like, enjoy your last day, you know, your planet is going to be destroyed. You know, he had the thing where he went on a load of fun. And I might, if I can meet the actor, I want to ask him, like, did you really have fun filming this, being on a roller coaster, doing all the sports stuff? But then literally realizing that the planet's going to blow up, it's going to be destroyed. So he decides to help out. So Heckle has this huge, massive kind of 180 from being an evil dude to a really good guy. And I really like that progression. It seems like the writers really did what they wanted to do. With the writing on this really felt like they put their time and effort into it. And when you see seasons like Megaforce, Super Megaforce, Samurai, Super Samurai, and obviously now Ninja Steel and Super Ninja Steel, you can see that the writing isn't there. So for some strange reason, they took their time to actually love this. And that's what I generally like seeing. The only thing that I actually didn't like was the destruction of the Earth, because it felt unnecessary. You know, it felt like they had defeated Sledge, they pushed Sledge away, but you didn't need to destroy the Earth or the Energem. You could have, at the time of the forming of the black hole, you could have all the Zords do a massive attack to actually destroy the Energem, to do something, rather than kind of open that black hole. You could have thrown the Dark Energem into the sun, and that's how it was destroyed. There were loads of different things, but when I came to watching the end of it, I just couldn't get on board, and it felt very lazy. You had this huge, amazing build-up, and then you had a major letdown. And then also now we know that the Dino Charge universe is completely separate to where the actual main canon universe is. When Sledge turns up in Super Ninja Steel, you find out that all that was kind of for nothing. It was in their own universe, and it would have been nice to actually have it all in one, rather than creating different separate universes, pocket dimension, whatever, to house that universe. RPM, now Dino Charge or Super Dino Charge, and now we don't know if Ninja Steel, we pretty much is Ninja Steel's going to be in the canon timeline, but it feels like they could have changed it, they could have made it all run perfectly. But yeah, I'm going to be ranting on a lot more if I don't kind of wrap it there. There are loads of things that I kind of really want to talk about in future videos, so I'm going to be going over and kind of talking about them over time. But generally, if you are going to be collecting this, I would definitely pick it up, because there are some amazing episodes. Some are well written, some that you go, wow, even the last part of it. So I would highly recommend it. I'm going to put links in the description where you can get it from. And so tell me, Rangers, what do you think about this? Do you think that this is a great series? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Would you be picking this up? Let me know down below in the comments, and if you've liked this video, like, favorite, comment, and consider subscribing. Check out all the other videos on the channel, and if you want to help out the channel on Patreon, link is in the description down below. And as always, Rangers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.